Hi, we're here in room 2 with Miss Bethany. Fun fact about Miss Bethany is that she's one of our alumni teachers who was an alumni student. She went to preschool all the way through 6th grade here at our school, and then came back to teach with us after college. And she also has a daughter who goes to school here, so that's kind of fun. Miss Bethany, tell us about the children in your classroom.
Okay, so the children in this classroom, they start out here and they're 3, and then in the spring they turn 4, and most of them come every day, so it's really fun to get to see them all week long. It's very fun, and yeah. So.
Okay. What about this class in particular? Tell us about this class in particular.
This class has been super fun. They are all very sweet, and they love to share what they like to do. They like to share with each other. We didn't have very many issues with sharing because they just love to give and hugs and kisses and love. So.
Great. What do you miss the most about not being here?
Oh, I miss seeing their little smiles on their faces in the mornings when they come in the room, and all just the fun stuff we get to do, getting messy in the paint, and just reading stories together and laughing together. That's what I miss the most.
I know, I do too. Well, let's look at their work.
Okay. So remember when we first started the year and we learned about all the things that are fun to do in the fall? We learned about leaves, we learned about squirrels, and I remember when we did our squirrels, it was so fun and a little bit difficult to make these little tails so bushy, but you guys worked really hard and you made those tails so bushy. I love it. And then we learned about pumpkins in October, and we were learning about the color orange, so we got to paint a lot of things orange, and then we cut out different shapes, and one of them we loved was the pumpkins, and we got to talk about what are in pumpkins, we got to talk about the seeds, and all different kinds of things about pumpkins, which was so fun. And then we learned about the farm, and one of our favorite things was our little pigs we did, because we got to do marble painting, and we put all the brown mud on them, and it was so fun, and we gave them little curly tails. And then the next thing we talked about was the winter and the snow, and we got to make our own little houses when we talked about homes too, and we made trees with snow on them to make them look like winter houses. And what I loved about your houses is that we got to build them, and you got to make them as tall or as short as you wanted, and you got to put the doors on and the windows wherever you wanted, so they were your houses. And we also learned about lots of things in the snow. We did snowmen, and you guys got to make your little faces on your snowmen, which was really fun. Some of you gave them carrot noses, some of you gave them big noses, and we got to do penguins. And even though we were all using the same types of materials, they all turned out a little bit different because all of you are a little bit different. And we did polar bears, which were fun, but I know they were a lot of hard work because we had to get all that fur on those polar bears because they have a lot of fur. And then in the springtime, we got to learn about all the little bugs that are around in the spring. So we learned about butterflies, and we got to put the paint on one side, and then we smashed it together so we made it symmetrical so each side looks the same, just like butterflies. And we learned about dragonflies, and we put some glitter on it to make them look like they have little iridescent wings, which was fun. And then we did ladybugs, and you got to use your fingers to make all those ladybugs little spots. And then what was really fun is we got to learn about spiders, and we learned that spiders have 8 legs and 8 eyes. So we got to put 8 legs and 8 eyes on our spiders. Then we got to learn about all the different animals that live under the sea. Now this is one of my favorite things we learned about, and I know it was Miss Joanna's favorite thing too. So we did a lot of sea animals. So we made jellyfish, and we got to use our fingers and finger paint the jellyfish all different colors, and we put their little tentacles on, and we made seahorses, and I remember we used little sewing spools to make the different designs on the seahorses. That was really fun. We made sea stars, and we got to put glitter on them to make them feel a little bit rough, just like real sea stars. We also made sharks, and we got to put as many teeth in those sharks as we want to. And I remember that some of us put a little bit of teeth and some of us put a lot of teeth, just like real sharks. And we also made these silly crabs that were so fun, and they're a little bit texturized. We got to feel that, and we got to make them really sparkly with glitter, and then we gave them these funny, silly little eyes. And this was something really fun we did. We learned about chameleons, and we read a book about chameleons that told us how whatever they're sitting on, or even how they feel, they change the color of what they're sitting on. And so we got to pick a color that we wanted our chameleon to be, and we got to pick what they were sitting on. So I'm going to show you what everyone was thinking. And I really like this because it shows us how we can make a sentence out of what we were learning about. So this is Lyrics, and Lyric says, "My chameleon is yellow because she's sitting on a leaf." And this is Paxton's, and he says, "My chameleon is purple because he's sitting on a purple fire truck." And this is Killian's, and Killian says, "My chameleon is blue, red, and black because he's sitting on Spider-Man." And this is Cora, and her says, "My chameleon is pink because she's sitting on a cupcake." And this is Riley Gohada's, and her says, "My chameleon is pink because she's sitting on a dress." And this is Jackson's, and Jackson says, "My chameleon is blue because he's sitting on a flower." And here's Savannah's, and her says, "My chameleon is red, yellow, and orange because she's sitting on a fall leaf." And here's Ryan's, and Ryan says, "My chameleon is blue because he's sitting on a race car." And this is Ocean's, and Ocean says, "My chameleon is green because she's sitting on a feather." And here's Juliet's, and Juliet says, "My chameleon is purple because she's sitting on a flower." And this is Alessandro's, and Alessandro says, "My chameleon is red because he's sitting on a fire hydrant." And here's Eloise, and Eloise says, "My chameleon is blue and red because she's sitting on a flower." And here's Hudson's, and Hudson says, "My chameleon is green because he's sitting on a leaf." And this is Lucas, and Lucas says, "My chameleon is red because he's sitting on a car." And this is Riley Newton's, and her says, "My chameleon is green with purple and orange and red because she's sitting on a leaf with flowers." So that was so fun, and it shows all our little imaginations and how we can imagine the chameleon and what it's sitting on. So this is our friendship quilt. We had a lot of fun making this. We talked about it during Valentine's Day. We were talking about love and how in the Bible, in John 13:34, it says how we love one another. So we each made our own little square, and we talked about what we could do to be nice and kind to our friends, and then we put it all together and made a quilt. So I'm going to show you what you guys came up with all on your own about how to be good friends. So this is Alessandro, and he says that you can be nice. And this is Hudson's, and he says you can say nice words. And this is Killian, and Killian says that you can play with each other. And here's Ryan, and Ryan says you can play nicely, no pushing, and to be nice. And here's Eloise, and Eloise says that you can share books. And here's Savannah, and Savannah said you can use kind words and good manners. And here is Juliet's, and Juliet says that you can share. And here's Paxton, and Paxton says to let's take turns. And here's Ocean, and Ocean said that you can share your water toys. And here's Riley Gohada, and Riley said, "I give hugs and share." And Jackson said, "I share toys." And here's Cora, and Cora says you can say, "Can I have that after you?" and that there's no pushing and no kicking. And here's Lyric, and Lyric says that you can share toys. And here's Luca, and Luca says you can take turns. And here's Riley Newton, and she says that you can share books. And that's our friendship quilt. And it's so fun to see all the things that you guys came up to about how to be good, kind, loving friends.
Well, Miss Bethany, looking at all the work that they've done and seeing their names, it just makes me miss them so much. Boys and girls, we really miss you. I miss seeing you out on the playground running up to me, singing songs and giving me hugs. I hope that you know how much we love you and how much Jesus loves you.
And I miss you so much. I feel like it's been forever since I've seen you, and I miss hugging you and getting to hear about your days. So I really hope that the next time I do see you, I will get to hug you and talk to you soon.